What can kill you but you are doing it every day? Was working as an intern in a small company, basically me, the boss and a few colleagues, who've all been working together for years. We were on this job, about a month or two after I started, and the boss gave me the task of installing one of those ceiling lights with a pull chain, metal, and I do it, relatively quickly, still kinda struggling with the wires and tools. So the thing's up there and the power's back, so I go to pull the chain to see how it works, when the boss goes, "What in the shit are you doing?" Checking to see if I did it right. Why? How about you check if you did it wrong first? But then he's like, grab the voltage tester and check the chain. And as I put it against the chain, I swear to God that thing lit up like a fucking Christmas tree. I can only imagine how fun of a day I'd have had if I gripped that chain. I have a friend who fell in the shower and knocked himself out. His body blocked the drain and he ended up basically drowning in the tub. I'm not sure he would have lived if not for the drowning though. I guess it was a pretty bad head injury anyway. Crazy stuff. He was in his late 30s. I keep the last message he wrote me and read it occasionally and feel guilty for not responding. We'd had a falling out over somebody stupid and the last thing he said to me was basically extending the olive branch, but I was too stubborn to reach back. My friend's mom fell and hit her head on a counter and died. A few days later my roommate's drunk boyfriend shoved me into the bathtub and the back of my head hit the soap dish. Could have broken my neck the exact same way. I saw red and just went crazy on the guy. I felt bad but still, fuck that dude. Josh Ozerski, very famous food writer and YouTube star, died this way in a hotel moments before heading out to accept an award from the James Beard Foundation. The fall didn't kill him, well yeah, I mean it knocked him out, but the coroner determined that he drowned in the shower. Fucked up way to go for such an interesting human. It doesn't even have to be a lot of stairs. A family friend of mine lived in a ranch-style house, all one level. It was zero entry at the front of the house, but had a single step down to the patio. This friend had lived there for years, then one day was walking inside and just managed to trip on that one step and hit her chin on the ground, broke her neck and died in hospital about 3 weeks later. It's like, you wouldn't even think of that as being a risk, but it happens. As you said, a shocking number of people. This happened to a friend of mine a few years back. They came back from the bar and he went upstairs while she was downstairs cooking them up some noms. She heard a crash and thud and found him with his skull split open, smashed and bleeding everywhere at the bottom of the stairs. Head wounds bleed like crazy man. We all helped her move out of her place as quick as she possibly could. It isn't good for anybody to stay in the same domicile your partner just died in a horrible accident in. You know, shit was rough for a while. I think about this sometimes when I'm stupid drunk, high and just instead ask my sober friend to get me the random thing I need from downstairs. I've since moved to a new area from where that accident was so these friends didn't have to see the bloodstain on the floor as we helped her move. So they don't get it all, but they are good friends, so they still take care of me when I ask for help, even if they think it's weird. Yup. Learned my lesson the hard way. Wooden staircase and I was upstairs. I heard my phone go off downstairs. I ran to grab it in cat and socks. About 2 steps down and my feet slid out from under me and thankfully I slid down the stairs on my back. I had to take 2 weeks off work because of the pain but thankfully nothing permanent. Also had a close friend die in Texas. Not too much is known of what happened but she was likely drunk and slipped. Her fiancé came home from work around 11 p.m. and found her at the bottom of the staircase with her head split wide open unconscious and a shattered bottle of wine. Who knows how long she had been laying there. She died a couple days later in hospital. So sad. She was one of my best friends and the sweetest person you can imagine. I almost fell running into a subway, to catch a train not a sandwich lol. in South Philly late for work, but luckily I was able to grab the handrail and some big guy behind me was nice and close enough to grab my collar and help keep me up. Lol. That was a close one and would have been bad. Those stairs are concrete. I almost had an accident carrying a heavy cooler filled with drinks down like 3 steps not too long ago. Maybe wasn't deadly, but I sprained my ankle pretty badly. I've made sure to walk very carefully going up and down stairs. I don't have the best luck with them. Lol. A friend of mine died that way. It was outdoor concrete block stairs that had iced over in a storm. His feet went out from under him and the back of his head came down hard, killing him instantly. Even to this day I am paranoid about any steps, indoors or out. If I am going down them, I don't have similar issues going up. I have to either run a hand down the railing as I go or at least hover my hand over it. If for some reason I can't, hands full, no railing, etc., I feel incredibly anxious. I used to visit my youngest grandmother and my aunts and uncles every year during the summer from since a child till now. It became a sort of tradition for me to see my family in a different city, and I loved my grandmother. We used to be really close when I was young. In a way she was a second mom to me and everyone used to say I was her favorite. She had a really big house, about 4 floors, and while the house was huge, I always took big notice of her stairs. She slept on the 3rd floor and her stairs got more narrow the higher up you went in the house, but always had this consistent thick blue carpet surrounding them, which made it very hard to keep grip on the steps. This situation would cause me to slip lots of times when I would visit when I was young. In hindsight, a large factor in my falls was probably my speed at times, but I very much had 1 or 2 bad falls, without a doubt, from the issue with grip on the stairs. I still am now seriously surprised how I wasn't seriously harmed from those nasty falls at times. It would worry my grandmother every time I fell, and she used to take care of my cuts and bruises from my bad falls, always telling me to be careful. But I was always more worried for my grandmother because she was more frail than me even at a young age. I would say every time she should be super careful too of those stairs. She even got one of those seats to help her up the steps. Whenever I was there I would help her up the steps every time she went, just to support her in case she fell. When I got a bit older I tried to reason with her about it every time I visited. I was quite notoriously in the house cautious of her stairs due to my falls, and suggested she moved, but understandably she was attached to the house because the family grew up in it. I never wanted to push it on her because she didn't feel worried. When I turned 16 and was in school I found out an accident on those stairs caused her to damage her spine and become unable to move her body from the neck upwards. I never felt so much guilt and pain in my life when I heard the news. I felt constantly guilty of not being so stern in my reasoning with her. In a way I felt like I didn't help her when I could, not saving her in her late years of a really painful life. We helped move her to a bungalow and I of course visited her every year for the summer. To help her out with her needs I would speak for the both of us at times, telling her stories and talking with her when I could. Every time I saw her I felt like I was gonna cry. She passed away this year pretty peacefully and I will always remember our time, though bittersweet at times, was some of my happiest memories. If you are ever worried about a loved one's safety, please do not let up about it. It's no joke. TLDR, please look out for stairs. If they don't feel right to you, follow your gut and address them. Don't let it be something you regret. It could save your life. Did you hear about the man that stayed in bed? He was too afraid to leave the house, for the outside world was dangerous. Morning after morning, he became more withdrawn and more scared of the outside world. He missed his old life, but the fear was too much. He was so overcome with the fear of death till eventually he just stayed in bed all day. One night, deep in slumber, his picture frame that hung above his bed fell and hit his head. There he stayed, dead. Something like that anyway. Couldn't find the original. But it doesn't matter, it'll find us. Driving. I drive for a living and I cannot believe the stupid fucking shit people will do on a freeway. It's insane, and honestly it's almost killed my sympathy for people who get into car accidents, cause I can't help but wonder if the person involved was doing something dumb. The only thing that lets me hang on to it is knowing that even if that were true, there could have been other people driving safely that were hurt as well. Stop driving like fucking idiots, people. It's not just your life you're putting in danger. Forcefully surviving my mental health. Like, I've been so burned out. I have autism, so I tend to bottle up emotions, and work 40+ hours a week, while 9K in debt, with 3 collectors after me, all while still going to school, while my grandpa is close to death. Edit. Thanks for the encouragement. I had a few extra details that I forgot to add. I haven't had a mental breakdown in years. For people with autism, a mental breakdown is normal when the environment is too much. So bottling it up is actually a lot worse. I've been going on this burnout stage for about 6 years. I have irregular episodes of depression, to extreme joy, to just hating everything. I'm not bipolar, either, so I can't keep my mind in check. Since I normally keep myself in check on tasks, I absolutely fear losing my job, constantly, despite having a solid position in the company. So that is why the 9K is a huge factor. The debt collectors only require $1,300, which I'm constantly afraid of being sued too soon. Heroin. I can't seem to stop despite how hard I try. I always go back to it. I've been able to get long times of sobriety, like 13 months several times, but then I go back because I can't stop myself. Life just doesn't seem worth it enough to stop. I've lost so much because of my addiction, and the logical side of my brain hates it and wants to stop. But the emotional side of my brain loves it because it blocks out all the bullshit and pain of life. When I go without it for 12 hours, I'll start to get sick, leading some combination of diarrhea, puking, cold sweats, restless legs, hot and cold flashes, and more. It's rough even with the meds my doctor gave me. My depression doesn't help with gaining motivation to stop either. And sometimes I get so low I don't care what happens, Anyway, sorry for the rant. So yeah, despite the fact it's killed a handful of friends and could kill me, I still do it every day. For now anyway. Sorry for the rant. I used to make donuts as a living. I had to regularly test them to make sure I had the batter and everything else right. I'd just take a bite and throw the rest of the donut away, but that shit adds up. Eventually I was disgusted every time I had a bite. I had to force myself to eat it, and it fucking sucked. Imagine taking a bite of the food you hate the most, regularly, every workday. I still totally could tell whether I had everything right and did great quality control. But I hated it. I absolutely cannot stand donuts anymore, and it's been nearly 10 years since I left that job. So, get a job as a donut maker and you will grow to fucking absolutely hate donuts. Taking Advil with alcohol. My friend's father was MD and eventually a medical consultant for a large medical company in the US. He had a printed paper booklet on his desk at his house all about some new pharmaceutical drug, about 1.52 in thick. His job was to review the literature to determine if there could be potential side effects and to ensure it wouldn't interfere with other medications. I asked him a similar question and he said, "It amazes me that people don't drop dead when they take Advil and alcohol. Chemically, the way they interact in your body, it can and should kill you. Yet so few people die from it." It's been about 15 years since he said that and I've never forgotten it. Porn and masturbation. They kill a man's ability to love another person, but I'm so used to the temporary high that I'm doing it before I'm properly awake in the morning. It leaves me tired and demotivated throughout my day. Not doing it leaves me energized and happy, but breaking that cycle is basically impossible at my age, 29. It's not like a drug or alcohol that I can use nicotine patches for while weaning myself off. The thoughts come from fantasies and longing for companionship. There's no cure for that. It's really a vicious cycle. Amphetamines. 67 yoctoseconds old and have been using for 40 plus years and not dead yet. I totally stopped for 8 yoctoseconds and was miserable the whole time. My brain went dead and there was no joy in my life. I started to drink, at one point a fifth a day of whiskey. Then I just stopped. After 6 months I started speed again. I'm back from the dead. There is joy in my life again. My brain is working again. I'm creative again. I am semi-retired but work part-time at an amazing job. I play guitar extensively. Life is good again. I have always been a functioning addict. I never spun out or tweaked. I put a small amount in coffee every morning and that is it for the day. I sleep every night. I have watched lots of people lose themselves. Some died but it never affected me that way. It gives me focus. Without it I never had an attention span, even as a child. I'm in good health. Don't smoke or drink. Low blood pressure, low cholesterol, not overweight. Never been arrested for it. All drugs are legal now in my state. Word, huh? Sure it could kill me but at my age I don't care. I've had a good life. I have a beautiful wife of 40 yoctoseconds. Kids and grandkids. I'm the exception. How I got to this point I am still trying to understand. This is not an endorsement because most people manage to go straight to the bottom. Oh, and I often eat a gallon of ice cream in a day. That's my other addiction. That will probably kill me. Gotta get back to my pistachio nut. Thanks for listening and commenting. Bye now. Walking dogs. I work for 2 companies and privately work for others. The sheer amount of times someone has bold faces lied to me about the aggressive level of the animal is insane. Some just don't know. Sometimes the animal becomes cage aggressive and needs a calm, slow approach and it's totally fine. But then sometimes one will flip on you. Luckily, in my experience the ones most likely to flip out are really little, so if you can read the body language, half moon eyes, shoulder and tail posture, you get a warning. So it's just a matter of getting your hands away. But the large dog can really ruin your day or kill you. We had 4 that were in a family in daycare that were in a timeout in daycare for being rough. And the pool guy showed up to treat the pool. He entered the yard and all 4 of these sweet dogs attacked him. He's about 6 feet 5 inches and 300 pounds and it was nothing for these animals to take him down and he couldn't get up. If the staff that knows these dogs wasn't there to call them off he would have been killed. They are a breed of dogs associated with being friendly but they formed a pack and took down this guy. I've seen a single dog almost kill 2 people because it was sedated and we were not told. Despite it all, I love dogs and will work with them but never underestimate their abilities. Okay then, but if you value your health, slow it down a little. What's happening is your dopamine release is triggered by the nicotine. Dopamine is the reward chemical. It's the good feeling when you level up in a video game, or figure out a puzzle. Low dopamine levels will kill your motivation and make you feel helpless, moody, or even depressed. It's actually not entirely your fault you become a terrible person without having smoked. Rather a consequence of low dopamine and withdrawals. It's the driver of your ability to enjoy things, and it's hijacked your life. It's why you don't want to quit, because smoking makes you feel so good. What's recommended is titration, a gradual change, just like 1 less cig a day for a month, or smaller cigs, just enough to keep him at bay without being stressful. Obvious answer, but cigarettes. I was a stoner all throughout high school. Told myself it was the only kind of smoke I'd ever breathe. But then I fell in love for the first time and let me tell you, my first girlfriend smoked Marlboro Black Slim. Now I was hooked off the first drag. That was 6 years ago, and while that hurt is long gone those cigarettes are still in my pocket. Genuinely speaking, to anyone even thinking about trying cigarettes, don't. Living in Spokane. Guys, I'm serious. This is the white PPL ghetto, especially downtown. Yeah, all are fucking crazy if you think this is a good place to take a vacation. All that bullshit about it being a safe city, fucking wrong. Look a guy in the eye downtown and you get stabbed. Everyone's on meth. The crackheads at 7-Eleven, on meth. The pawn shop owners, on meth. My parents, on meth. What happens? Stabbings and shootings. Stay the fuck away from here if you want to live. Weed is also hella pricey. But I'm broke so everything's pricey. Just go to fucking Seattle or some if you wanna visit Washington. Better yet, avoid the entire state. Inslee is the governor and he's a fucking dumbass. Since lockdown sent us working from home, I get out of bed, sit down at my PC desk, stay there for 18 hours immobile, then go back to bed. Every day, 7 days a week. I also live exclusive on oven-ready meals and drink a bottle of whiskey a night. I am right at that intersection where all the stuff you do in your teens and 20s that you know are unhealthy but you keep doing them cause it's a problem for future you are now becoming a problem. A while back I got gout. I'm seeing symptoms of diabetes coming on. My blood pressure is at hypertension levels. I still just roll out of bed, sit on my chair, eat crap, get drunk, roll back into bed.